It's always a pleasure whenever we on Page 5 get to have a very famous celebrity, and here's one this morning. His name, Desi Arnez Jr., and I know everybody recognizes you instantly.
Okay, good morning.
You must live with that most of your life, you know, being recognized.
I guess people more or less recognize me. Sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. Depends if they've seen me on something recently or...
Yeah, I mentioned at the beginning of the show, Desi, about the Olympics because I thought it had such a fabulous, positive sort of image worldwide, here in the United States especially. I've never seen such, you know, esprit de corps among Americans in general. Were you affected by it?
Well, actually, I went out to the Olympics in Lake Casitas, and I helped with a group out there pick up cans that are part of what we'll talk about later has to do with that.
Oh, how nice.
That were the official environmentalists for the Lake Casitas Olympics.
Wow.
And so they were helping to recycle during the Olympics. It was great.
Huh.
Yeah.
Did you follow any of it all for the past 2 weeks?
I watched some of it on TV, yeah.
Yeah, it's exciting, don't you think? Doesn't it? A special...
Yeah, I think, I mean, I enjoy sports, and I think it's, if in its place, it's great. In other words, as a sporting event, it should be just left as a sporting event.
Yeah, I know.
And in that for the athletes, for them to participate in their sport and all, it's fine. There's a lot to see in the Olympics. There's a lot to see about human nature in the Olympics. There's a lot of good things that a person can see about themselves looking at a sporting event. You know, or participating in a sporting event.
Yeah, by you mentioning that, I thought of Mary Decker.
Yeah.
Did you actually see it or the replay of it?
I saw the replay of it.
Yeah, well, I was actually watching. It just happened to be, I was watching at that moment because I didn't get to see all of it. And when it happened, it was like, I'm sure everybody else was just as stunned as I was because it was like something right out of the blue, the last thing I thought could have ever happened. But she said something like, one of her comments, I didn't get to hear all of the mention she made was something about, I can just see what it would look like in the press if I would have pushed Zola Budd, you know, instead of just falling, if I would have pushed her too or something. And I thought to myself, isn't it sad she has to be so conscientious of her press image when she's really an athlete? And it's too bad she just can't go ahead and, maybe that was the problem, you know?
Well, even, you know, it's interesting. What crossed my mind was, during the Olympics, was that these people are just people, and after they win the gold medal, or whatever happens, no matter how successful you are in whatever field you're in, and whether you win or lose, let's say, that day, you know, I mean, that's the interesting thing about athletics, is there's a winner and a loser. Is both the winner and the loser still have to go home and go to bed alone, whether they're married or, I'm not saying whether they're married, but they still have to live with themselves and be able to have a right relationship with themselves. And so it really, so what if they still have to take whatever comes or whatever happens to them in their life and live life, you know, just like everybody else does. Everybody has the same thing to contend with. It's not really that much different, but we place certain we put certain images on people. And sometimes, this is what you're saying, the people buy into that image and feel they have to defend that image.
Right.
And then that's people in the public eye.
Yeah.
People in the public eye aren't any different than anybody else. And that's what's interesting about, like for me, you know, being in the public eye, is that I was asked that a lot, how's it different for you? And it is different if you believe in what people are telling or saying this is who you are.
Yeah.
And because then it's a false image.
Yeah, the old saying, something about you start reading your own clippings.
That's a true saying. People actually do that, and I wasn't immune to that either. I did that too.
Desi, I know that you know, I couldn't help but the crew were talking about Dino, Desi, and Billy, and I think, it crossed my mind because the videos are so heavy now, and we discussed a little bit about, I like to play my country western and the crossovers too, or the light new wave stuff, but you guys would have been at the top of the charts. You were anyway, musically, but as far as the videos are concerned, you would have probably been right there as well at the top of the charts, and I was just curious about how you look upon the videos, what they're doing with them.
Well, I think I always liked film, so I think it's great to be able, and I really like special effects, and being able to combine visual effects and film and music, which I still love, and is a fantastic new medium.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of potential. The one thing that I'm seeing in videos which concerns me is that they're using a similar theme in a lot of videos, and now they're losing the content of the song.
Totally.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I know, totally losing
And
it.
so we have to remember to keep the value of the song, and not just to write a song so it'll look good on a video. So it's still, music is still the most important as far as the lyric content and the music, the melody, and all that. And then if there's a song that you can visualize, then I'd rather look at it that way than coming up with something visual and trying to put a song to it.
Got it. We were talking about Dean Martin's video, Since I Met You Baby, which we
Right.
played on page 5, and you said it was produced by Dean's son, Ricky?
Right, by Dean's youngest son, Ricky, and who is a video film producer, director, and producer, and writer. And he's a musician as well, performer. And he just did a short that Billy Henshey of Dino, Desi and Billy and myself were in, a short film that's called The Last Jerry, about World War II. It's kind of a comedy takeoff on World War II, and that should be out on cable soon.
You keep in touch with Dino?
And yeah, Dean and I speak every once in a while. He was in the Air Force for 2 years. He became a jet fighter pilot.
He did?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know, that's what I keep saying.
You mean
And,
within the past few years you're talking
the
about?
last 3 years. He was in the Air Force for the last, about a year ago he got out. He's a second lieutenant in the Air National Guard flying Phantom 4s out of March Air Force Base.
Now this is the Dino of Dino, Desi, and
Yeah.
Billy.
Yeah, but now recently he's decided he wants to go back into the entertainment business. So he's a jet fighter pilot slash actor. Dean, if you're listening, you knucklehead, you. Anyway, he has been performing again. He was in a film called Heart Like a Wheel, the Shirley Muldowney story. He had a guest starring role in that, and he's getting back into acting again.
You mentioned Ricky might want to do a video as bringing you guys back into the spotlight.
Well, Ricky has talked to all three of us about the reunion aspect. He keeps telling us that people are out there clamoring for a reunion, and we're asking him where are they clamoring? Where are they clamoring? But we've thought about it, and Billy is with the Beach Boys now. He's playing guitar and keyboards and singing with the Beach Boys. He has been on and off for the last 10 years, and for the last 5 years steadily playing with the Beach Boys, and he still writes. And
the kid that was just killed with the Beach Boys.
Dennis.
Dennis, did you know him?
I knew Dennis, yeah. But the Dino, Desi, and Billy, when we first toured, our first concert was with the Beach Boys. They took us under their wing, and we opened for the Beach Boys at the Hollywood Bowl. And they had us on stage with them at the end of the show, and then we went on the road with the Beach Boys and played California and Hawaii, and opened for the Beach Boys. And then that kind of became an interesting family. Billy's sister married Carl Wilson, and now Carl Wilson and Billy's sister are divorced, and Carl and Dean's youngest daughter Gina are going together. So it's been kind of a family thing for the last 15 years. And Dennis was, when we were first recording and playing concerts, Dennis helped me playing rock and roll music. I was 12 years old, and I was educated in jazz, and Dennis used to just pick up the drums, and you have to play real loud on stage, and he used to help me play it. When I first played in a concert, he'd go, play louder, and so he'd help me. So I grew up with the Beach Boys, really.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you must have been affected a little bit by it.
I was affected by it. Part of the whole Dennis, and there are some other people that I was affected by in the last couple of years that didn't make it through the stages of whatever happened to them in their life. They were unable to recover.
Yeah. We're getting into the subject of drugs and alcohol, which we will get to in just a moment. I'm just curious about, is the video going to happen, or is that just in the talking stages?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see what happens.
It would be great, I'm telling you.
We really don't know. Yeah, something may happen. We don't know yet.
guys
It's just in the talking stages.
Yeah. Did the other guys look as good as you do, Desi?
No, they don't.
They don't? Are you being funny or
I'm
serious?
just kidding. I think I don't know. They're in pretty good shape.
You look
yeah.
really good, so
Well,
I got to tell you, if they look as good as you, then you should go on to another resurgence. You know, a whole other. How many years was that, Dino Desi?
Not
Billy?
very long. It was like 4 years. I was 13, 14, 15, and 16. But like I said, we're still interested. I may be recording an album on my own in the next year or so, and singing and perform. Yeah, a couple of friends of mine are writers, and there's some material that I'd like to do, and somebody's interested in doing that. So.
You know, Desi, you can't expect any kid between those ages, 13 and 16, with that kind of fame. I mean, you're being launched into the greatest spotlights in the world to do very well. I mean, you might take credit for going 4 years very, very well, don't you think?
Yeah, we had an interesting thing because we didn't do it in order to have a career. We were doing it for fun. We went to school together. We were in grammar school together. And
Wow.
Dean and Billy came over to me on the basketball court one day and said, "Do you want to play drums for the school carnival with us?" And that's how it got started. And I played drums with them. And I had a rock and roll group before then called the Jaguars, which was like an instrumental group that played Wipeout and The Lonely Surfer and those kind of songs, with the kid that played Little Ricky, which we were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
And so I played with them, and then Dino, Desi, and Billy played at parties around West Los Angeles and Beverly Hills and department stores for like a year, and did that kind of a, like a local band, you know. And then somebody heard us. We had an audition like for a whole bunch of people, and somebody heard us and signed us up to Reprise Records, and it just happened. It was just something that we were having fun doing, and we recorded a couple of songs, and the second song was a hit. And
Wow.
I was 13 years old. I was in school, and then what happened is we started going on the road during holidays, and then coming back, and a lot happened. I admit happened in that period, but not because we were looking at it as far as a career, but because we were out into the world at a very young age.
Yeah.
We were out there.
Your mom and dad, what did they think about it? Were they,
Well,
it's
they were,
my son and I love him and he's becoming a big star?
They were
Was that
very,
it?
yeah, well, no, they were supportive, but they were very concerned because of the fact we were very young. We were out traveling on the road and going into a whole different existence than you would if you were just in school at 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
We were traveling with the rock and roll, the Mamas and the Papas and Paul Revere and the Raiders and the Who and the Guess What and the I Don't Know. And
But they were cool.
You Got Me's and the... No.
But they were okay.
Well, they were very supportive, but what happened down the line was they were concerned about that I was experiencing a lot at an early age, and but they were always very supportive of the. They were just concerned, as concerned parents would be.
As parents would be that love you. Yeah. Are you still close? And
actually, yeah, I think I have a better relationship with them now than I ever did because I have a better relationship with myself. And it just kind of...
That's nice.
Yeah, so I have a better relationship in general with life.
Yeah, I got that. Yeah. During those years when you were so young, was there heavy alcohol, drugs?
Well, for me, it started very early, and I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol when I was about 14, started drinking. And then in the 60s, or the middle 60s, when the drug explosion kind of happened, I thought that was... Because I started drinking at a very early age, and I knew there was something wrong at a very early age with drinking. So I said, "Oh, great, marijuana! I'll do that. This is it. This is the answer." And,
oh, that's sad. I shouldn't be laughing.
Well, but that's what happens, you know, and that's what happened to a lot of people in my generation. Because prior to marijuana becoming popular, we tried drinking, and then for me anyway, I said, "Well, this isn't good. This is interfering." But at a very early age, I realized that there was a problem. And then I thought marijuana was the answer, and I started using marijuana and other mood-altering substances in the 60s that we all tried, and I just stuck with it for a while until I realized that there was a serious problem in the last 6 years. This is over 2 years ago that I haven't used, so
You've been straight for 2 years?
Over 2 years, yeah. But there was a serious problem the last 6 years, but it was interfering even initially. Only when you're that young, you don't. Well,
when you're that young,
the whole problem is it's a problem that says you don't have a problem. In
Got
other
it.
words, do you understand what I'm saying?
got it totally.
You always say to yourself, I'm okay, I can handle it.
Yeah.
And that's the nature of the problem.
Got it. Very good. I was just curious, can you mention some of those names of those who didn't make it? You said they were friends of yours and they didn't quite make it to this point?
Well, there's a lot of people. There really are a lot of people.
Not so much, they're not so much in the spotlight. They're
Not
just,
so much, well, there are people that, I mean, and it wasn't necessarily that it was drugs and alcohol, it was that something else happened to them that may have been
oh,
premature. Do you
Got
understand
it.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In other words, you couldn't directly relate it, but it was related indirectly. And so I don't like to mention people's
okay.
names.
I didn't want to pressure you, that's why, you know.
But they're people that we all know.
Yeah,
People
that's what
that
I
you've
thought.
heard, that everyone knows what has happened.
Yeah.
And whether it was a direct or indirect accident, you know, something happened, an accident happened, or there have been many people in the public eye that have indirectly or directly have been affected or something, or you know, have died.
Yeah. Desi, when I, just speaking with you for the short time that I have, I don't pick up that you entirely blame being a special kid with famous parents and being a famous child of those parents and being thrown into all this fame and fortune. I don't see you blaming them or all of that totally for, or maybe you do, but I don't feel like it's all there.
No, I don't blame them at all. And there's no blame. You see, what happens is, what you find out when you, in recovery from drugs and alcohol, is you find out that it's mankind's disease, let's put it that way, and everyone is affected by it. And your parents were affected by it. No one is directly responsible. Everyone's responsible. It's socially acceptable. It depends on your. Everyone is also susceptible. You don't have to be from a special background. I mean, when I went through drug and alcohol recovery, people from all different walks of life, and it doesn't play favorites. It doesn't play favorites. So there's no particular blame. It's all, everyone's responsible though. And then that's what you become, is responsible for your own life, which then you stop blaming yourself, you stop blaming other people.
That's nice.
And part of the problem is in blaming other people and blaming yourself, is in the self condemnation or guilt and stuff like that. That's part of it.
Desi, you're speaking tonight. Let's see, you have three. Are you speaking at each one of these, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday?
Right. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. That's tonight, and tomorrow night, and the next night.
And Thursday night, 7 o'clock. You're going to be in Boulder City at New Life, that's 700 Wyoming Street. So you're personally going to be appearing.
Right. And this is a seminar for people that are interested in living a different kind of life, and not just for drugs and alcohol, but any kind of compulsive behavior that manifests itself in many ways in our life. And so it all connects with self-defeating behavior that may manifest itself as in drugs and alcohol or any variations of excessive behavior. And New Life is a place where people can go to find out. A man named Vernon Howard, who's an author and a writer, has been giving talks and writing books for 20, 30 years about how people can see where it is they're hurting themselves, and in seeing it, naturally, there's an intelligence inside of us that would never hurt itself.
Got it. Desi, I hate to interrupt the interview. It's been fascinating. You're a true gentleman, and I hope you get a nice turnout. And thank you for sharing your time with us on the show.
Okay. Thank you, Dennis.
You're welcome. Stay with us. We're coming right back, but first this word.